that she told me she was getting a divorce, I just assumed it was the husband because...
When you found out, what were your first thoughts as far as how and why and who was responsible?
Well, when I recalled that she told me she was getting a divorce, I just assumed it was the husband because, you know, in most cases, that's how it goes. And then little by little more started coming out with Paul and, you know, just everything. And we kind of put two and two together. And from the beginning, we...
But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's not enough details. So she mentions the divorce, but if you're already going to mention divorce to, you know, like an almost stranger, I feel like you would be comfortable enough to mention other conversations that would lead up to that divorce, right? Like she would complain like, oh, Alec is doing this, he's doing that, and I suspect this, I suspect that. I feel like you would just be like, oh, we might get a divorce. I don't know, right? Wouldn't there be like conversation leading up to like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and then later on she's like, yeah, we might get a divorce. I don't know.
Assumed it was Alex. But like I said, we've heard different stories, so we weren't sure what to think.
And she said she's heard different stories. What kind of stories? What kind of stories did you hear? Tell me!
They call your next witness.
So, Aaron, you were actually subpoenaed.
I was. I had to talk to a couple of SLED agents. And
I actually love how relaxing this is. They got the music in the background. She's getting her nails done, but we're like talking about this like tea right now. Like, it's a very interesting ambiance.
I had to talk to a couple of SLED agents, and I believe he's the assistant to the attorney general.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted, you know, just to know what I knew about Maggie and the things we talked about, and basically just what I knew about Maggie.
Okay, so tell us what you knew about Maggie. Also, I used to have this hair color, by the way. Don't miss colored hair.
You know, they seemed pretty desperate when they were calling and asking around. I think that they had heard that Maggie told me she was seeking a divorce is why they were so adamant at talking to me. She did tell me she was on Edison permanently. She told me she was seeking a divorce.
Okay.
She did mention one time that she was looking for some sort of investigator.
So why do you think they didn't?
Why did they cut it off like that? Isn't that so weird? I don't know, man. I feel like when they cut it off like that, it's because she said something else that wasn't as juicy, and so they had to quickly cut the conversation. I don't know if I trust this edit, man. Court TV. Isn't it kind of like all of a sudden?
One time that she was
very abrupt.
looking for some sort of investigator.
So why do you think they didn't actually call you during the trial? You said you were glad they didn't, but...
Yes, of course. I think it's because there was no way to prove anything. We could prove she was my client. We could prove she was there. But we couldn't really prove what she talked about with me and with Alex and all the family. Basically, everybody saying that they were in a happy marriage. The state basically told me that the defense would call me a liar, so there wasn't any sense in getting up there and testifying.
I don't know. Doesn't that kind of sound like it makes sense, but doesn't it kind of sound like weak though? It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't go up there anyways because they're just going to say you're a liar. It's like, well, you can kind of say it towards any witness that testifies, right? So, like, I guess maybe because all the family members, the close friends were like, oh, they were a loving, happy family relationship. But I don't know. I still thought it would have been important to have a nail tech to go up there and be like, yeah, she confided me in some stuff and she was looking to divorce. You know, she was going to get an investigator and stuff. But I don't know. I'm thinking maybe there's another reason why they didn't put her up there.
Maggie was sweet. She was kind of a free spirit. She was always up for anything that was going on. She loved her family. She loved her boys. Buster and Paul were her world.
One thing about the trial that you mentioned is you don't think Maggie was really represented well as far as her memory and who she was.
She did get skipped over a good bit. I felt like she was made a victim, and, you know, she was much more than that. She was a mother, a friend, a loving wife, and I would love people to remember that because she loved people and was loved. She was much more than a murder victim.
How do you remember? I know she was your client for a while, and
she was always very happy. I always saw her with a smile on her face, even when she was having a rough morning and showed up in her pajamas. And, you know, she was always smiling.
Maggie's sister's testimony made me sad. Yeah, it was really sad for her. I thought it was really sad. Why didn't she speak up for her sister? You know, I thought it was really weird too that no one did the victim impact statement. But I guess it could also be tough because you're doing it in front of other people. And then to compound that, it's being streamed to like hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe you don't want to go up there. But I don't know. I was just kind of sad how like, yeah, no one did the victim impact statement for Paul or Maggie, you know. But, you know, there were people that testified and had some like sob stories and stuff, right? There were some sad moments. But, yeah, I don't know.
She was always very happy, probably to be on Edisto, because, you know, she loved it. She always talked about going to the beach and talked about her boys coming down. I think my boys are coming down today.
No, you can see her roots right there. She looks like a brunette.
She gets very excited about that.
The state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder. Guilty. Verdict.
I'm happy with the verdict and the sentencing, for sure. Whether he pulled the trigger or not, I believe that they are dead because of his actions. So I'm very happy with the verdict. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but...
A lot of people agree with it, too.
I know, but I do have a lot of people who disagree
Really?
with it.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because you're in this community, and the Murdaugh name was so...
Yeah, and most of the people do agree with me, but there's... Every now and then we have that one person who is very adamant that he had nothing to do with this. It makes me wonder if maybe they know more.
Why is Chanley's blonde? I can't see her. Chanley! Where are you? What is up with this camera angle? Can we make it like maybe the room is too narrow or something?
Than we do. I don't know the Murdaugh family personally
I don't see Chanley's face at all.
tell you much. I know that they are very large figures in the political field here, and they usually get their way. That's the gist of what I know. They usually get their way.
All right, that's basically about it. The hands. Oh, she's not even in the room.